Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone on the internet. Thanks for coming. So today we are gonna have a study on the law of destruction with Teresa. But first, we are gonna have our initial reading and prayer with Hannah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today's reading is from the book Happy Life by Divaldo Pereira Franco by Joanna de Angelis. Think in terms of eternal life. Death is nothing more than a moving van. When the physical tissues wear out or are violently torn, they free the eternal spirit, which returns to its spiritual home. Everything is transformed. The body changes and decomposes, revitalizing other expressions of the material. The spiritual being, which inhabits it temporarily, leaves it to assume its structural reality. Life, therefore, in the knowledge that death may overtake you in any moment, you must begin to prepare now for the inevitable journey. So let's prepare for the prayer. Let's elevate our thoughts. Let's thank God, our Master Jesus, and Teacher. The spirit matters of this house. Let's ask to bless this lecture, bless this house and everyone in it. Open our hearts and our minds to the lessons being taught today. And let's ask that Teresa be guided and inspired for this lesson today. Stay with us. So you.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Always good to have you all here today. As you can see, our lecture today is going to be about the law of destruction. It's a chapter in the Spirit's book that talks about this law. We have many laws. As per Kardec, we have the law of conservation, but today we're going to be talking about destruction. And we're going to see at the end that the word destruction can be exchanged for something that's way more hopeful, because destruction is too strong, right? The objective that we wanted today is first to talk about why destruction is necessary, but also bring the difference between natural disasters and man-caused disasters, especially wars, right? Because I think in terms of man disasters, that's one that comes more to our mind is the wars, right? Because both of them kill thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, right? But they have different causes and they have different reasons for them to exist, okay? But let's start with the one that's natural disasters, okay? So first, to understand natural disasters, first we need to think about Earth. How was Earth created, right? And that's, and if you want to really know about it, I suggest you read the Genesis, the book from that, the one at the top here, okay? It's really going to tell you about the formation of the planet, how it's formed and so on, and grow as a planet itself, as a material planet, and then morally going as well. Okay? But as we know, Earth is right now about 4.5 billion years, okay? Sounds quite old, but actually compared to other planets, it's just a baby, okay? It's like it started yesterday. And it wasn't like this right now, right? So even by scientific, even if you don't read Genesis, but if you read a bit of science, it used to be pretty much like this lava thing, very hot, had all those toxic gases in the atmosphere. You cannot have any kind of life in here. And over the billions of years, this earth starts to mature, the temperature starts to cool down, you have to have a crust formed, those gases went away, all of a sudden you have water, some microbes coming, so it slowly starts and goes, and I'm not going over this because I would be a disaster if I tried to teach you that, because I know very little. But anyways, eventually, over 4.5 billion years later, we have Earth as it is, okay? So this beautiful nature, this paradise that sometimes we don't recognize or respect enough as we should, but it's this absolutely beautiful planet that we have now. The thing is, though, Earth is not completely mature, and it's still shifting. A little bit, compared to what used to shift 10 million years ago, it's very little, very, very, very little, okay? That's why you don't have natural disasters every week or even every month, okay? But still shifts, okay? So that's why we had the volcano erupting in New Zealand just now in December. It actually was one that wasn't expected to be active, and it did, right? We had, in Japan, we had in 2011 a major earthquake that caused a tsunami, killed over 20,000 people, and caused an accident on a nuclear plant at the time of Fukushima, right? And so from time to time, the earth is still shifting, and we do get earthquakes, we do get tsunamis, we do get hurricanes, right? We had Hurricane Katrina many years ago, and we had a major tsunami in 2004 in Indonesia, right? Which we're going to be talking about later on. So those disasters are always going to happen, okay? Because Earth is still shifting. It's not completely mature. It's still shifting, and from time to time, it shifts a little bit more than we'd like to, and it shakes everybody around, okay? So that's one of the first reasons. Yeah, you can see today, oh, but how about global warming? Are we causing some of this? Yes, we are. We are enhancing them, and we maybe even making them a bit more often than what they should, especially in terms of floods and fires, right? We are helping, okay? But I'm not going to go in there because that will be a completely different lecture, okay? So we have a finger on it. What's happening today is we do, okay? But in general, even if you're looking in the Bible, historically, men have been affected by any major events or calamities in history, right? If you look at the Bible, Old Testament, you're going to see cities that were destroyed by earthquake. We have the major flood with the Noah, which now scientists think was actually just a tsunami in the area. So many things, okay? And actually not all of them is bad, because also there is a theory that the parting of the seas that actually helped it to save lives was a tsunami, right? So actually Moses was just guided to be in the right place in the right spot on a tsunami. So when the waters receded, he crossed, and then the waters came back, right? And we think it was just his stick, it was powerful and opened the waters. It probably was not, okay? He didn't have a magic wand in his hand. So probably that's what it was. So no, it's a bad thing, right? But the truth is, historically, we always have been affected by them, okay? So that's Earth itself, okay? So it's shifting, okay? And it's shifting actually a bit more than what you can think, okay? Even though it's subtle. For example, if I was talking about Japan, if you ask when was the last earthquake in Japan, everybody says it was 2011. Actually, it wasn't. Probably the last earthquake was 5 minutes ago. Actually, Japan has about 1,500 earthquakes a year. Okay, most of them not perceived at all. Okay, they only perceived it by the technology that we have today. It says, oh, we just had a little shake, and nobody even feels. But if you talk with someone who was raised in Japan or lived in Japan many years, they're gonna tell you they're very used to be walking on the street, and then it shakes a little bit, and then it keeps going. It's just mine. It has absolutely no effect, like in terms of destruction or anything, but for them it's very normal, right? So you see how nature is still shifting a little bit, okay? And that's part of the natural development of Earth as a planet, okay? So when came human beings? And I'm going to talk about humans as us here, Homo sapiens, this kind of a side that we have. It's about 200,000 years ago, okay? So we came on a time, God decided to put us here on a time where planet Earth was already kind of mature, but not fully mature, and we have to endure those kind of calamities, right? But why he did that? Because he could say, you know what, let's wait until Earth is completely mature, there's no shifting anymore, be safer, right? Much safer. Then we put human beings in there, right? But he didn't. He said, you know what, it's stable enough. Let's put them in there because this will be good for them. Because he wouldn't do something just for the pleasure of seeing us going through those calamities. So something good has to come out of it, right? Something that was good for us, a plan to come to this plan was still shifting a little bit and settling down a little bit, okay? And that's exactly the question that Kardec does to the spirits in the Spirit's book, in the question 737. He asks them, for what purpose does God inflict to humankind with destructive calamities? And the answer is to impel them to progress more quickly. Haven't we stated that destruction is necessary for the moral regeneration of spirits to accomplish a new degree of perfection during each new existence? You must see the end in order to appreciate the results. You only judge such things from your own personal point of view, and you regard such afflictions as calamities because of the injury that cause you. However, these hardships are often necessary in order to make things arrive at a better order more quickly, and to accomplish in a few years what could otherwise require many centuries. So why would you have to go through those calamities? Why is such a good idea to put us here when it's still shifting a little bit? Because those calamities make us to progress faster. Because the problem is when you see those major disasters, natural disasters happening, the only thing that we see is the destruction in terms of material destructions and the death. We forget that those people didn't die. Their bodies were destroyed. Those spirits lost nothing. They're still intact as spirits and as a people. And it is necessary, as you know, as a spiritist, that we discriminate to be able to reincarnate to new existence and start all over again. So we can progress faster. Imagine, for example, I have someone that I really don't like we really hate each other, okay? And we don't die, okay? So there's no discrimination, right? And we're going to keep hating each other maybe for 20, 50, 100, 150, because we're in the same situation. You did something wrong to me, I won't forget it. You did something to me, and you won't forget it. And we just keep it 200, 200. Yeah, eventually we're going to get tired and say, you know what? Okay, I'm done. Let's just shake hands and go. But how long will it take? With the kind of a moral evolution that we have? Probably forever. But if we cut short and in the spiritual plan say, hey, let's look at the past. And, do you want to restart again? Okay, let's go right up. Let's start again. This time we're going to be the father. So now we're going to be like, instead of friends, I'm going to see father and son. So we're going to start in a different way and go. What's the chance of reconciling much faster than if you actually didn't discriminate? They had to have one long life to make things right. Not talking about that when you go back to the spiritual world, the access that we have to support, to understand, and everything to give us a new view to come back and start with a little bit better tools is huge, right? So that's exactly what discarnation is. Discarnation is one of the samples of destruction, where destruction has to exist, and really think about destruction now as transformation. Because even Lavoisier, about hundreds of years ago, already knew. He said, in nature, nothing's lost, everything is transformed. Okay? So even when we see as a material destruction, it's actually transformation, nothing's lost again. Right? But for the spirit, for sure, there's zero loss. Zero loss. For us as a human beings, we're gaining. Okay? So that's what he's saying here. And the other problem is you see as a calamity because you actually don't see the end. Because you need to see the end to understand the results. The problem is that we think we saw the end. Well, the end was that the people died. No, that's not the end. So the truth is, because we don't understand yet, we cannot also see the results. Does anybody know what was the results of each one of those souls that are lost in those calamities? Are we aware of how much each one of us may have learned and grown from being part of some calamity in the last century or 2 centuries ago? Right? How many spirits have now been transformed by being part of it? Right? And now maybe today the workers, they're helping us to go through our own calamities these days. So that's what he's saying. So that's necessary. It is necessary, and does make you progress way faster. So what will take it centuries to be done, now it's going to be done in years or decades. Right? Decades are way better than centuries. So that's what it is. But the problem is our point of view. We see there's a major distraction, and a lot of people lead them to say God doesn't exist, or see this as a punishment. See, that's the wrath of God punishing and and destroying and everything. It has nothing to do with punishment. Nothing. If anything, it's His mercy. A lot of times is stopping people to keep going and doing what they are doing. That's the wrong path. And we're going to see this when we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you some examples from the book Planetary Transition. So when we truly understand how God plans go, we're going to stop to see this as a destruction and we're going to see it as a transformation. Because the truth is, when God created us, He had a plan, a very simple plan. He created us simple and ignorant. And the plan is that we're going to learn through trials. So yes, we will have hardships coming. Some of them could be even the natural disasters. And we would learn through trials. And reincarnation would learn. And of course, because we're created simple and ignorant, He didn't think that we're going to do everything right from the beginning. He knew we're going to be making mistakes, right? Just like when you're teaching a child to read, right? You teach them the alphabet and they start writing the letters. You don't think they're going to spell everything right from the beginning. You're expecting them to make some spelling mistakes, right? And you correct it. But they made it out of ignorance because they still don't remember the rules, so many rules to learn, and they're like, oh yeah, this word doesn't spell this way. And the next time they write correct, right? So God knew we were going to make mistakes, but out of ignorance. So if I did anything against my neighbor, it would be out of ignorance. I didn't know that was going to cause me. Oh, I went into war with my neighbors because I thought it was good, and now I realize that the results of this is actually very bad, so I'm not going to do this again. So that was His plan. Okay? So through trials, we're going to learn, we're going to make mistakes out of ignorance, but because we made the mistake and saw the results as negative, we're correct. The problem is, we had a better plan. Well, we thought we had a better plan, right? We got so smart and we thought, no, I have a better plan, which is actually represented by the symbology of Adam and Eve in the Bible, right? Which we know that humanity didn't start with a man and a woman. That's just, an analogy, just, a symbol. But that's exactly what the symbol in Genesis is about, the book Genesis in the Bible. Is that two people decided they had a better plan. So they represent us who decided we had a better plan. If I do things that's good for me, and I'm happy, and I don't care what's happening with the rest, it works really well. It's fantastic. Right? So now I start to do something better to my neighbor out of my vices and my bad tendencies. So now I'm doing the bad to my neighbors out not of ignorance anymore, but out of evil. So out of pride, vanity, vain, greedy, right? Selfishness, because I just worry about myself. And it works very well for me. No problem at all. So then you create the expiations, right? So now we twisted the plan that was perfect, created by God, and decided we had a better plan. And then we make the natural disasters even more necessary, because now we have to really learn with them. Right? So I'm going to be talking about with you about this book here. Planetary Transition. Okay, it's a book by Divaldo Franco Pereira, and it's the spirit of Manuel Filomeno de Miranda. Okay, I'm going to refer him as Miranda. That's how he's referred in the book, and his name is too long. Okay, so it's actually a very easy book to read. It's a fantastic book. I actually had to read for this lecture, and I was just going to read the chapters that I needed, and I couldn't. So I had to go back to the beginning of the book and read the whole thing. And it talks about exactly what's happening right now on our planet, right? Which has a lot to do with the natural disasters, or natural disaster is one of part of it. Okay. It is a fantastic book. It's divided in two parts. So the first part is, so it's Miranda, who's actually very likely André Luiz books. You know, André Luiz books, he has a mission and he goes to the manufacturer and he follows the mission and they do the work, and then as he's doing the work, he learns and explains to us how things work. So it's the same format, okay? But he's in two missions in this book. So first half of the book is actually a mission going with this group of spirits that go to the tsunami in 2004 in Indonesia, to rescue the spirits that had just disconnected. Okay. It's absolutely fantastic to see the work that is done in the spiritual plane. Okay. Second half of the book, he is actually going with a different group of spirits to a mission in Brazil. Okay, very special mission that if you want to know what's about, it's actually a fantastic mission. You're gonna have to read the book because I won't tell you what's about. Okay, but that's what it is. It's divided in two missions. Okay, first mission. That's a good way of selling a book.
Oh, yeah.
So first we're going to be talking about the first half of the book. Okay, because it has everything to do with what we're talking about. So the book starts with an introduction by Miranda. So he writes an introduction that matches quite a bit with the passage Law of Destruction from the Spirit's book talks about. Okay, and I'm going to read a few passages from his introduction for us to help us to understand why it's necessary those natural disasters. Okay. So first thing that he explains in the book is that in our evolution as spirits, we tend to first develop our instincts, because 200,000 years ago, that's how we live. We live pretty much by instinct. It's raining. If I'm under the cave, it feels better. If I'm out the cave, yeah, it's raining, I don't like it. So, you know, my instinct says that if it's raining, I'll go under the cave, whatever it is, right? Or it's how I start to think, and you know, but it's very by instinct, and I need to eat, so I need to go and hunt and then kill because I need to eat. Everything was by instinct. As we evolved, then we start to develop intelligence. So in technology, today intelligence, we have no problem to talk about development and intelligence. Okay? Intelligence leads us to create consciousness. And the consciousness leads to the pathway of intuition. I like to think that we're right now on the path of consciousness. Okay? Intellectually, intelligence we develop quite a bit. And it's helping now us. And because we didn't develop more as good as was, because that's the other thing, plan of God is maybe intellectual is going to grow together. The problem is that we did this. Intellectual went and moral, it's coming, right? We are way better society today than we were 500 years ago. So it's coming, but very slow. And because there's this difference now, pretty big, and because now we're time that we have the intelligence, we can question, we can think about it, have access to information. More than ever, we question ourselves as a society. Why am I here? What's right and what's wrong? Right? So much discussions about racism, prejudice, everything. What is right and what's wrong? Right? We never been in a society that we question so much stuff. People looking for spiritual enlightenment, no matter what's the path they are going. Because we are in this path right now of creating this consciousness to understand why we're here, that this must have something there. So I like to think that we are in this path, right? And eventually we're gonna develop our intuition, which is the moment when our minds will be so connected with God, then it's gonna flow as an intuition. I don't need to think about it more. It's gonna be our essence, okay? And we're gonna get there for sure. It looks impossible, but it's not, right? Because law of progression cannot be stopped, can be delayed, cannot be stopped. Okay. And he says on introduction, only the impact of suffering awakes them to understand just how essential it is to acquire peace and well-being. And here he's not even talking about calamities, okay? He's just talking about the sufferings that we have on a daily basis. Okay. At that moment, they notice the wrongs they have committed and the harm they have caused others. The longing to make amends surface and the assist those who have been harmed by their ineptitude or primitivism in relation to the duties that are part of the sovereign codes of ethics life. So basically with our sufferings, because everything is good until it doesn't hurt me. When it hurts me really bad, then we awake and say, oh, or at least some of us will, and eventually we're all gonna wake, because eventually it's gonna hurt so much that we're gonna wake and say, now I understand that what I'm doing to the others actually caused so much harm that I wanted to repair. I'll now repair what I have done to others. So now I understand what it was. The path I was going was right, because now it hurts me. How many of us, after going through our sufferings, became more tolerant people? Be more compassionate to others' pain, especially if it's the same pain that you went through. Now you see, I can relate it now. If you have more compassion, how many of the hardships didn't taught us to be more patient, and be more taught us resignation, right? That's why the small personal sufferings help us, especially if we have the knowledge from Spiritists that teach us that this is temporary, and that's part of trials. That's part of correcting the things that we have done. But it's only through hardship that we learn that. Or we should. Because actually, after question 737 from the Spirit's book that I read to you, that says, it's necessary to improve your, to progress faster and everything. Next question from Kardec is kind of, excuse me, but couldn't God have like a different plan, like a different methodology to teach us, like more, tone it down? And the Spirit says yes. And if actually he does. He does on your daily lives. Gives you signs, gives you all the time the conditions to learn what's right and wrong, what's right and what's evil on your daily basis, but you guys don't learn. So you need the major calamities to come and shake you up and say, that's the way. Because apparently with that, unless it hurts really, really bad, we don't get it. Okay? So we, even as a moral spirit, kind of need those. We need to, be shaped a little bit stronger from time to time. Okay. And that's exactly what Miranda says also in the introduction. So the sufferings that we suffer on a daily basis should help us to progress morally and go. The problem is that it's too slow. The problem is that this awakening is too slow, with wars, hate, intolerance, and horrendous things still happening in our society. But today we have enough knowledge that those things should not be happening, or at least not to the extent that they're happening anymore. So apparently, no matter how much suffering we see around us, we're still not getting it. Okay? And then he mentions exactly what the Spirit's book says. He says, it is necessary that everything to be destroyed in order to be renewed. Destruction, however, is only produced in the molecular modification of matter. It never reaches the spirit, which is immortal. So that's how I have to think. Destruction is only material. There's no destruction in terms of the spirit. There's no loss for the spirit. So in this book, so Miranda's going to go join this group of people. So in 2004, we had a major tsunami in Indonesia. Actually, the book talks about 150,000 people, over 150,000 people dead, but actually the number is about 220,000 deaths, literally in a split of a moment. Because when the tsunami came, with no warning, there was no time for anything. Right? It came and affected many countries, many countries in that area, and instantaneously killed many thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Okay. In less than 24 hours, we had first responders coming from all over the world to come and help. And along the weeks, we had thousands and thousands of aid groups, humanitarian aid groups, and volunteers coming to help the area. from all over. People everywhere collecting clothing, medications, everything to send to the area. So the whole world now is mobilized on this huge wave of love and charity to help this area that was affected. If someone had gone to the news and say, hey, there is poverty there in Indonesia, can you guys help? Few people would help. I've never seen anything like that. Such awakening in us as the calamity did. But the spiritual plan didn't arrive when it's not like they were sleeping there with the spiritual plan. And someone said, hey, there's a tsunami there, go there now, then, oh yeah, let's go there. Right? No. They were there way before it happened. Because remember how, Japan has this super fantastic technology that can detect earthquakes and everything? Well, their technology is way better. They knew that tsunami was going to happen way before it happened. Because the technology there, it's way better than ours. So the spiritual plan was already there before it happened, helping, preparing people for the process of discarnation, taking people off the area that should not be there, right? Making people to go in the area that should be there. Because they make it very clear in the book. There's not a single spirit that discarnated that day. And the tsunami plus all the people that discarnated because of the tsunami posed. Because either of the injuries or all the illness there was spread. Because every time you have something with the tsunami, there's a bunch of illnesses that are spread around. Okay? Not a single spirit was discarnated because you're in the wrong time in the wrong place. Every single one was in the right time in the right place. Exactly where they should be. Okay? So in that sense, there was no victims. Okay, in the sense of God's justice, there was 0 victims. But there's victims, yeah, they were victim of a tsunami that caused their discarnation. In that sense, yes. But in sense of the God's justice, there's 0 injustice in there, and there's no victims. And in fact, he explains that even the spirits of the tourists that were in the area that had nothing to do with the area were spirits that, yes, on this incarnation they were incarnated in Europe and in other areas, but actually in previous lives they were from that area and they had debts related to that area. So there was a reason for them to discarnate in that local. Okay. So when the mission that Miranda goes with is actually post, so they're going there to help now all those spirits that discarnated to be with the process of finalize the process of discarnation. Okay. And what he describes on the spiritual side, it's something that's at the same time is horrible and beautiful at the same time. Okay. Because imagine now we have over 200,000 people discarnated all at the same time. And he described that area, because of the poverty, corruption, and everything on the area, was an area with a lot of an energy around the place was very negative. A lot of prostitution, a lot of sex tourism in the region, drugs, everything that goes together. Okay. And of course, there's a lot of people, they're good people as well, right? People who had a good energy and everything. And that those people actually, when they discarnated, most of them just disconnected and went. Because that's what they were connected with. They had the good spirits and they went. But the volume of spirits connected to the bodies, to the dead bodies, and he describes the beach, for example, full of bodies, dead bodies, with the spirits attached to it and suffering, despair, screaming, trying to lift their bodies again, or trying to just disconnect and then they can't. It's huge, huge. And then you think that's already bad because I already disconnected on a very violent, like out of the blue way, so it's very disturbing and I don't know what's happening with me. I'm in despair, I'm connected to this body that doesn't move anymore. It is already really bad. Well, then now, remember the connections that they had pre-discarnation while they were there. So the amount of vampirizing spirits going there, and now so imagine you there desperate, you're already in completely despair, trying to disconnect from your body, and then you have a spirit that comes and is actually feeding your despair because they're feeding on your bad energy, on your negativity, on your despair, making it even harder for you to disconnect from that body. That's the scene that he describes for us on the spiritual plane. So he goes on a mission with Dr. White. Dr. White is the main guy, is the leader of this mission, and that's what they go to do, to help rescue all those spirits, help them to disconnect. And it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful work that is done, okay? Because actually the group is made by a mix of different religious people. So you have a Jewish rabbi in the group, you have a guy who's a Muslim, you have Miranda who's a Spiritist, and they all working by one reason, by the love of your neighbor. It makes no difference what are the religious background, because they all went to the basics of their own religions, which is love one another, right? So following their own religions, united, and now they're doing this mission to go help those spirits. And it's such a beautiful work because they not in this process they not only help the spirits that just disconnected and in despair, but they also help those spirits that are vampirizing and they've been there for the longest time, connected to to their thoughts and to their pains, and helps them rescue a lot of them together. Because at some point they go and say, "Oh, you guys don't come here," and Dr. White looks and said, "You're not going to stop our work. We're here for to help. We're gonna help. And if you want to join us, there's love here for all of you as well. Aren't you guys tired as well?" And some of them just cross and goes with them. Okay? And it's a whole team happening, right? We just see one group, which is the one that Miranda says, thousands of spirits from the superior plan coming and helping them in this process. Okay? So it's exactly this process of destruction that's going to help them now, a lot of those spirits, to restart in a better way. So he brings, for example, the example, one of the spirits that they go help is being vampirized and suffering, is the spirit of this girl, that the mother, as the spirit comes, "Please come and help my daughter." So this mother is discarnated and come to the team and say, "Please help my daughter." So this girl, because of her culture and religious background, was forced to be married at a young age to a man way older than she was, okay? And this man actually owned a brothel. So he puts his own wife to work in there. So at a very young age, she's put into prostitution. And probably out of a despair, and probably saying, "I have no option," she just decided to, fully engage them. That's what you guys want me to do. I'm fully engaged in this, okay? And they brought her a lot of pain during the process of incarnation, but not disconnected. Right? So the spirits go there and help to rescue her. Had she lived longer, wouldn't she do this for longer and longer and longer time? So isn't it good for her that this was got stopped, and now she's going to have a chance to restart maybe in a different way? But we see as a distraction. How many of those spirits, because if you're in despair post, probably the way they're living before was not the greatest, right? So isn't that good? I say, "Hey, let's stop in here. It's all wrong. Let's stop in here. Let's restart again." But because now it says how Kardec says, because we don't see the end, we don't understand the results, right? But the results that come and how much progress comes, how many of those spirits now maybe getting conscious what they're doing won't be the ones that are going to return and help to reconstruct the area, morally and physically, right? That's how it goes. Law of transformation, not law of destruction in the end. Okay? So we transform materially and we transform spiritually, because in the end, that's what's important, is the spiritual. And the other thing that brings those major disasters is to tell us how transitory is this life, how short it is. I remember I was in Japan for 2 weeks, because I heard that they feel the earthquakes almost 2 weeks, almost weekly they feel. So I was there for 2 weeks and I want to feel like a tiny one. Yeah, crazy, but I want to. Because I can imagine how humbling must be, because we think we're so in control of our lives. How humbling must be for you to feel an earthquake, that you have zero control. Everything is shaking, everything is falling, and I don't want that height. just make clear. I just want those that they say that they feel that they shake a little bit and they keep walking. That's what I want. But I had a friend who lived in California, and she felt one, and she said, it's horrible. I was lying in bed, and my bed went from this side of the room to the other side, and there's zero that you can do. Zero. You cannot stop her. Let me hold the earth, and nobody stop her. You can't. Okay? How humbling it must be for you to understand, wow, I have control of anything, and any moment I can go. Okay? So that's another teaching that we can get from these major disasters. Okay? Because yeah, I don't live in Indonesia, but I could be there on vacation, and it could be my time to go. Right? I could be visiting Japan. I had another one, and it could be my time to go. Okay. And those disasters also help you to grow intellectually. Why today, last year we had a hurricane in Florida. Why we were able to evacuate the cities before the hurricane came? Because back in there, with all the hurricanes that happened, it killed thousands and thousands of people. Someone decided to study nature. Let's see if you understand those hurricanes, all their form. Now we have enough technology that we can trace them days before and say, hey, move, because it's coming. And we know if it's getting stronger, weaker, like what's happening. And how many people we can save. Right? That's another question from the Spiritist book. Can we stop those natural disasters? Can we do anything? And he says, yes, you can mitigate. You can make them lesser, right? To a certain point. But when divine providence, to the limit of divine providence, because if divine providence saying no, it has to happen, it's going to happen. But we can mitigate. We can mitigate the loss of people, loss of human beings, and we can mitigate even the material disasters. That's what it is. This technology is here. And that's what we learn. We learned so much and have grown so much from natural disasters in terms of technology and morally. Because every time it happens, morally, we get a little more jump in there. It takes so long if they didn't happen. It take even longer. It's slow already. Imagine if they didn't happen. Okay. The other thing to remember, the book is planetary transition. So we are transitioning. So what's the other function of the natural disasters? Is to actually work on the planetary transition. So many of those spirits now discarnating are not going to reincarnate on planet Earth anymore. Many of them already for decades already reincarnating in different planets. Because remember, you cannot become a planet of origination. That's what actually they want to bring when it says everything has to be destroyed to something to new be born. That's what see. We cannot become a regeneration and keeping in lives that are completely based on selfishness, pride, vanity, and greedy. There's no way. So the only way for us to become regeneration is that this planet of expiation has to die. Right? In a metaphorical way, but it has to die, which means it has to be transformed. If this transformation doesn't happen, we're not going to become regeneration. There's no way, right, for us to become regeneration without destroying or transforming this expiation. And part of it is the spirits that don't match anymore a planet of regeneration are being invited gently to go to other planets, way less evolved than the planet Earth, and there they're going to be the superstars. They're going to bring technology, moral values. I call moral values. Yeah, moral values. Because maybe compared to a planet of regeneration, the moral values is very low, but to a planet that's way behind, actually moral values is pretty good, right? So they're going to be helping there. So they're being punished? No, they're being helped to grow. Okay. So that's the other thing with the world natural disasters. It's helping us right now to do the cleanup and become a planet of regeneration. So how about war? So let's talk about now main causes of disasters. Okay, because I was talking with someone the other day who goes, there's so many positive things and technologies and stuff that comes from war, so so they're a good thing and everything. And I said, yes, and no, right? So question from 724 from the Spiritist books. This is exactly what Kardec asks. Saying, what's the cause that leads humankind to war? And he says, the predominance of the animal nature of the spiritual and the satisfaction of their passions. So clearly created by man. War isn't created by us. God didn't create it. It wasn't part of his plan. Okay? It's created by our own primitivity. And because we want to feed our own passions. Okay? In the state of barbarity, nations only know the right of the strongest, and that is why war is a normal state for them. As humans evolve, war will become less frequent since they will avoid its causes. And when it does become necessary, they will know how to make it more humane. So more humane, it's not saying that it is a humane thing, it's not, okay? And it's true, okay? If you look at the way the wars were 1,000 years ago, it would be totally fine for me to go and invade your kingdom and slash everybody, women, kids, people, you know, it's not just between soldiers. Today, something like that would be absolutely atrocious, okay? We fight here, soldiers, but not like we don't go and slash all the kids and the elderly and women and, you know, and go around. So, ours a little bit more humane. It's still not humane, it's still wrong, okay? And it still shows how we still have a little bit of barbarians inside of us, okay? But we are a bit more humane. Same thing. Hundreds of years ago, okay, medieval times, it was very cool to go in a public square, and if you're a criminal, we're just gonna hang you there. Everybody would watch, kids, everybody would watch, and hanging, you know, because you killed someone or committed a crime, and also totally normal. Yeah, just hang or chop their head, whatever it was, in public. Today, when we have in the countries that they have how we call the penalty, like death sentence, okay, how it's done. First, it's not done in public. Yeah, there's few people from the public to watch. It's giving usually an injection for them to fall asleep first, so you deplete them, and then you could further give an just injections just to stop their breathing. Okay, but it's not done in a humane. We don't slash their heads anymore in public, right? Because they would be atrocious. Okay. So imperfect? No. We better? Yes. Okay. So you see how we're slowly getting in there. Okay. And then on question 744, Kardec asked, what has been the goal of providence in making war necessary? And the answer is freedom and progress. Very short answer, freedom and progress. We have to be very careful, because if I open the book, Spiritist book, just like, you know, and read this question alone and say, what does the goal of providence make war necessary? Freedom and progress. Well, war is fantastic. It's a good thing. It brings freedom and progress. Let's keep a war. Even God thinks a good thing here, right? And that's not true. So if you take this answer out of context, we understand it's quite wrong. So first of all, war is created by man. Remember how's the plan? Single and ignorant. And we decide to change. And now we do everything by ego, by my own pride, my own vanity, because what's better for me, I don't care for you. And that's how we do. And that's how we created wars. So why is war now necessary? And why creates freedom and progress? So very simple. When I was a child, my mom had her mythology as a child is fantastic, right? I used to like to go with one finger to the outlet. And I'm not from these days, okay? I'm a little bit older. So these days, if a child goes with one finger in the outlet, the chance of them getting hurt is 0. Because the metal part's not anymore close to the top, is actually seated, okay? And my time was flush with the ice. Even from my time, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So if you put your finger in there, you get a shock, okay? And I would go, and my mom's like, no. And I would go, no, until that she had a brilliant idea. She thought, no, she's only going with one finger, so she's going to only get half. Look at her knowledge of electricity is fantastic. She's only going to get half of the shock. So instead of 110, her calculation is going to only get 55. Okay, that's how she calculated. As if 55 was not, was not bad. Okay, but that's how she calculated. So she said, no, I'm going to let her go. And sure enough, I got it. Making the story short, I was still a teenager. I was afraid of plugging stuff on the wall. Okay, I never put my finger in there again. So morally talking, that's where exactly we are. We're children. The God's constantly saying, don't do that. Don't go this path. Don't go there. Don't go there. And insist on going. Then he says, you know what? Now it's necessary that you suffer the consequence of your own choices. And I'm going to allow it because now it's necessary. And that's why he allows the wars. That's why wars become necessary. Because we're going to have to suffer the pain of our own choices to a point that they're going to say, oh, I don't like this anymore. Because now it's not only hurting my neighbor, it's hurting me, and I don't like this. Okay? That's why wars become necessary. That's why they bring freedom and progress. Because it's by the pain that we cause to ourselves is going to be so big that we're going to say, oh, I don't want this anymore. And it's going to be progress, moral progress. And yes, if you look at wars, they also help us to grow in technology and a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of this is technology related to war, but but brought us another technology. So there's always something that's going to come out positive from it. Absolutely, because that's how the spiritual plan does. Okay, the plan was not to go there, but you decide. So what can we get positive from this experience, from this negative experience that you chose? Well, we can, learn that wars is not good. So that's why wars are necessary, but they're not created by God. They're created by us, and they become necessary because we don't learn. So we're only going to learn when we hit the wall, and the Lord's like, oh, yeah, it hurts. That's why they become necessary. And that's why we live in progress. Not because they're good things, okay? Because we need to be very careful with this question from the spiritual. Okay? Now we're talking about big calamities and natural disasters and big wars that kill like hundreds of people at the same time and everything. But can we bring all this experience to our own life, our own individual lives? Yes, we can. Do we go through our own destruction and reborn? Yes, we do. How many reincarnations have been here already? Many. And each one of them help us to grow a little bit better, right? To understand a little bit better. I'm pretty sure I have some in the past that got stuck for a while, and then, finally we now keep going. So we need to have the body destroyed so I can reborn and restart it again, fresh, a new opportunity, a new situation. Each one experiences different situations each time we come, so we can grow. We can grow morally, right? And we can go in this path. And that's what the hardships are for. Our own little calamities that we live in our own lives, in our families, with the illnesses, with the some of the beloved ones passing away, right? So many things that we have to go through, right? That helps to grow. So on our daily calamities, little ones help us to grow, and our discarnation would be the big calamity, which is not a calamity, it's just a transformation, it's another one. So we can look at the big picture and we can transport the lessons to us. So that's what we are. Society is this way because we're all together as a little piece mixing their way. What each one of us is what makes this big society. Okay? And I always like to bring a passage from the gospel if I can connect, right? And there is a passage from the gospel that talks exactly about this. There is a chapter in the gospel talks, it's called Strange Moral. It talks from passages of the gospel that Jesus said that feels very weird and almost contradictory to what he teaches, and they are not. And one of these passages is in Luke, and he's talking to a man, and he says to the man, "Follow me." But he responded, "Lord, first I must go and bury my father." And Jesus replied, "Leave to the dead the care of burying their dead. And as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God." So we know that Jesus is not saying you cannot go to do the funeral of your father. It was not being literal, right? What he was trying to explain here was two things. First, don't worry about the bodies, which means don't worry about so much about your material life, because that's temporary. It's transitional. Worry about more your spirit. So follow me now, because following me now, you're going to be taking care of your spirit. So don't worry so much about the body or your material life. It is important, it is, but it's not as important as your spiritual life. And that's what I'm giving you here, a renew on your spiritual life. And what he's also trying to tell this man is, you cannot follow me and keep attached to the same person that you were before. You cannot follow me, my laws of love and charity and fraternity, and still doing the same habits that you were doing before. They're based on materialism, selfishness, on greedy. Okay? You can't. That's what he's saying. It's time for you to let it go who you are, because that's what each one has to do. We have to destruct, we have to destroy who we are to be born someone else. Always keeping, of course, self-love, accepting who I am right now. But remember that I have to transform. So slowly, I have to destroy who I am today to tomorrow become a version a little bit better. Right? It's like an app. It's the 10.1 version, and then eventually it's 10.2. And then eventually becomes 11, and then you start 11.1. Just this minor change that I don't know you guys, but when you do, like I see zero change. But apparently there is. Okay? So, but there is, right? And that's how we do. We have to destroy who we are slowly, always loving who we are right now, but slowly rebuilding, reborn to who we want to be, who we should be, and who we are going to be, because again, we cannot stop. Okay. So just to finalize, just bring a phrase from Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world, because that's what it is. By transforming us, by destroying us a little bit every day and building someone new, that's how we're going to reach this planet for a generation. And that's how it's a big community. We are going to destroy this planet. There's so much anger, so much violence, and become a more peaceful planet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. I'm not gonna try to top anything that you said. That's really good. Otherwise, it would be a natural disaster. So, any questions or any question from people from the internet? No.
You really won't tell us the second experience in the book.
Okay, I'll give a hint. Okay. So he's going to Brazil. It's a very special mission. That's not happening just in Brazil, but he's talking about the one that's going. Okay, it's happening all over the world now, and it's gonna help us to go through this regeneration transformation. So it's way more involved spirits coming from different planets. Planets are like way more involved than planet Earth. We're gonna reincarnate now amongst us, and they are already doing right. This book's from 2010. But the story's from 2004, and it has been happening now for decades. And we see now children now being born doing stuff that already like they're 6 years old and they're doing campaigns to help water for the kid that's in Africa. Like where this comes from? Because my generation, kids, I don't know. I was worried about my dolls. I just wanted, I was worried about them. Okay, that's what I was worried about. 6 years old, I didn't even know that there was another continent. Okay, so that's what it's about, is how they're going to help those spirits to come. So it's absolutely fantastic book. You know, curiosity.
Any other questions? No? So thank you, Teresa. Thank you. No problem. Now we are gonna prepare for our